Welcome back to Taiwan Outlook. Our guest today is Professor Michael Hsiao, Foundation of Taiwan University. Professor Hsiao, we've been talking about the role of the media, but as you said that the media seems to lack the so-called self-discipline. Why was that? Why has that been the case?
On the one hand, this commercialization. Media was under the control of a political power, of a political interest. And now the political interests kind of fade away. Now replace it is the economic interest or commercial interest. And you see we have so many media, so competition, and make a competition, you have to find sensational. And rating system also all contribute to this kind of chaos and self-discipline. And we will make news first, and then we fix it later. That is the mentality. And secondly, because there's no external monitor, effective external monitor. I remember in the 70s, 80s, and I was also a member of the press council, which is, if you look at the press council in other countries, especially in UK, it was a very, very powerful, effective, self-disciplinary press organization. It has effect on self-discipline, but that one didn't work. I openly in the committee meeting, I said, forget about it. We need an external monitoring.
That's right.
From a consumer, from the civic groups. So I think the problem is one, commercialization. Second, I will say, even though it's the political forces is moving out, but again, the other political forces moving in. I'm not talking about party line. It's take sides. Take side is politics. So we see because the party politics in Taiwan is not in a regulated, healthy way. Therefore, they provide a room for media to take side.
That's right.
To make it sensational. Because the more you sensation, you take side, you become agitated among themselves and among the audience. So they make taking side as another source of chaos.
So it's not only sensational, but also very partisan.
Very partisan, very partisan.
But as you say that it seems to be very difficult to have the media have some sort of self-discipline. How about the role of the government? Because in the old days, the government controlled everything, but now the government seems to take a hands-off policy. Didn't want to get involved in anything related to media. Do you think that's another healthy way of running?
It's a dilemma. It's a difficult decision to make. And I would say government should have some role to play, but government should not play a role to control the media, to dictate what can be said, what can be written, and what can be broadcasted. But rather, it should play a role to accept complaints, to accept demand from the civil society, and then as a kind of objective entity, and can pass the words, pass the opinion to the concerned media. And second thing is to promote good journalism. I think that is something. I'm the chairman for a foundation called Excellent Journalism. We took the position that we encourage good journalists, good journalists, not so much a good journalist establishment. So we give award to, but we lack of money, we lack of a fund, and because government is hang off. It used to be a government, the GIO, to provide award, to set up everything to give award. But now this foundation is taking among two other related award. So, but that's not enough. I think you need a civil society to demand, to boycott, for example. Say, we don't like what you say. I think what you have done is wrong. So we're going to give you a lesson. We're not going to buy your newspaper. We are not going to watch your program, or we can put the pressure on business community not to give commercials.
I mean, it's the sponsors of the programs.
That's right. That's right.
But let's continue to talk about the role of government. In the past, it was the GIO who monitor or control the media. Now it's the NCC that regulates the interplay or the market force of the media. How do you see the role of the NCC, National Communication Council?
NCC should play a better role. And so we do have NCC. The structure of NCC has a problem. You see, when we talk about NCC is composed of non-partisan or bipartisan, it becomes partisan. Yeah. And that is a problem. I think anything recommended by party, well, in theory, every party has its own position, and we agree. But when you come to public goods, public interest, the party should say, we recommend a good candidate, member, to be in the NCC as a body, but not representing the party line. Right. So I personally do not feel that any public interest organization in government should be composed of anything recommended by a party, because it becomes a party line. That's right. And that is not good. But I might accept it after a few years when the party politics is become more mature, become more reasonable, become more rational. So I'm not against party to have a role to negotiation of the composition, the structure of the NCC. But I'm against what is the process. You know.
Yeah, that's right. But as you say, the market may be the determining force in deciding the media's future and so on. But the thing is, as you know, that in a small island like Taiwan with only 23 million people, you have more than 7 to 8 so-called 24-hour news stations.
Yes.
You know, how can that be possible? You know, its market is very small.
So we might face the problem of reorganization. We might find out the phasing of some television, some newspaper, and merger. So it's inevitable. It's a merger. And so hopefully that merge, the good one will come out rather than the bad one will take over. Yeah. But that we cannot guarantee. We only hoped with the help of the monitoring capability from civil society can make this merger to a more healthy one. But I think all in all, media now has to give itself a role that you are going to contribute to the consolidation of democracy, but not just for money's sake.
Yeah, but as we know that in the legislature, they just passed a new law stipulating that in any talk show, political talk show in particular, should take a more balanced presentation of their views in the show. They have to invite people from different parties and so on. Do you think that's a law that can really implement it?
No, not at all. I'm against it. I think it's ridiculous to have this kind of a law. Yeah. It's already there. It's already there. Every party, talk show. Well, let me take it 1990s. Since late 1990s, all the talk show invite different party. You know what? They did on purpose to have the debates, but the party line debate is not rational debate. Now, if you want to have any show, and provided that the party politics is immature, is chaotic, and the more representative from different party, the more chaotic you will see on television. Yeah. So I don't think that's good. I think the media should realize that audience has a right to ask, and don't just pacify the audience. Say you like to see it, but no. I think you have to self-discipline, and you have to say, this is good for society. I'm going to do it, rather than say, oh, maybe the audience wanted to. So I think that is so. Go back to the law. I don't think the law will work. What we say balance. What do you mean by balance? Yeah. Okay, balance means you fight each other. Called balance.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
but the media in Taiwan are also criticized for not having an international perspective. In other words, there were no international news and so on in Taiwan. How can we fix the problem?
Well, that is something I think Taiwan is globalized, very much globalized, economic terms, commercial terms. But in terms of vision, in terms of views, especially global view, we are very lacking. And the media, the lack of international media. And to tell the truth, I think all the international news broadcast in the local is a copy, a snapshot, a small snapshot of CNN.
That's right.
And so therefore you have clips here, there, without providing what is it. You only the pictures, sensational picture. So maybe we need English or foreign language television or news. We have now newspaper. We have a newspaper 3. China News, Taiwan News, what is it?
China Times.
No. Taipei Times.
Taipei Times, China Post.
China Post and Taiwan News.
That's right.
But we don't have a television.
Yeah.
But of course, once you have a television, now we have to worry. What is the content? What is the quality?
That's right.
But certainly we need, and then press, and also the public, the cultural press. I think the Taiwan need a globalized, internationalized exposure to the different opinions, to be concerned citizens in Taiwan. Right. I think we are too concerned about cross-strait. I think it's as if the globalization, the global is China, and that is wrong.
That's right.
China is a part of a global, and Taiwan should go into global and not China. And China is only a part of this global. And I think we are hang out with this Taiwan Strait.
That's right.
And our global should go beyond that one.
In addition to the reform in the media community, what are the other areas that you think that should be the priorities for Taiwan's next step, reform or transitional justice?
I think first is the party, the inter-party dialogue, inter-party regulation. I always has envy about the UK's British parliamentarian system. That means I call it civilized. I'm sure around the world, politics is politics. Many hidden, dirty things among the all parties. But at least in LY, in the parliament, you have to be civilized. So I think the civilizing in LYs and also how to deal with party-to-party negotiation on public policies has to be installed. And that need to be done immediately. And that's one thing. And secondly, I think media, of course. Media, I think we have to deal with the media seriously. Again, we demand, we wanted to have a civil society, especially women group and consumer group, to come out at front that say, we demand this and that. I think that is the one. Third, I think we have to handle our national identity issue in a mature way, but seriously. You see, in a nutshell, what is democracy? Democracy means the people can decide who we are, to be aware who we are and what we are heading, where we are going to. So certainly democracy will bring about a new reconstruction of a national identity. Right. And this national identity thing, which is based on Taiwan and around Taiwan, and certainly will create a tension between Taiwan and China, cross-strait relations. And that, unless you say, oh, forget about democracy. Otherwise, once you have a democracy, you have to face the issue. So the cross-strait relations - national identity issue has to be dealt with in a mature way. And I think that's these two things are related together. And democracy certainly changed this relation dynamic. Status quo. If we say democracy is a dynamic forces, and dynamic democracy changed the status quo in the past, and create a new status quo. No one can force us to accept 20 years ago status quo. Right. We want to preserve now status quo, democratic freedom Taiwan, and to be the master of ourselves. I think that is a status quo, and that is challenge.
So the so-called identity issue will be a necessary outcome of democratization in Taiwan. And how about international participation, international, membership or status for Taiwan?
That is we have to. Well, that is the another challenge for us. You see, I honestly think that in the whole world, since the last 7 years, not related to the DPP in power, but just the rise of China, the China rising phenomenon really create a kind of an international hypocrisy.
Yeah.
I can use the word hypocrisy. Since everything that China wanted must be good because the market's there, so everybody pulling. But I want to say, yes, China is a big country, but whether or not it's a good country, whether or not this is a great nation, that's to be tested. In 10 years, we can agree. Now, because of national identity, we want to have a representation in the proper international arena. And now because of the kind of a new addition of the tension between Taiwan and China across trade relations, so China doesn't want us. So therefore, look at the diplomatic relationship, because diplomacy, sometimes scholars like you or I have to go fly for 15 hours, go to Washington, go to 20 hours to the London, Paris, to persuade, to discuss with their politicians. Say, this is our position. This is what we want to do. Did China want? Does China need? No. They have ambassador.
Yeah.
They can knock the door to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs office. So this is an unfair information flow. So therefore, it's a problem. We have to face it. And I must say, sadly, that this hypocrisy prevailing in today's world is injustice to Taiwan.
Yeah. Professor, you mentioned earlier that to have some sort of healthy dialogue between the major parties in Taiwan is a very important issue that we have to deal with in the future. But when it comes to sensitive issues like party assets, then people can engage in rational dialogues. So when we come back, we'll talk about that kind of legacies of the authoritarian period. So take a break. We'll be back in a few moments.